Today I have some things to share about what's been going on in my life. Some are good and some are bad. By bad I mean like probably going to get extremely emotional bad. But the good has been good. So here we go. Okay, I don't know if I should start with the good or the bad first. Well, okay, let me start here. So the last kind of video that you guys saw, or maybe not the last video you saw, but the last like vloggy, like edited, like, you know, actually like out and about type video that you saw was my trip to Boise. Now I don't know how much I talked about in that video because I did post that a little while ago, and I was there like a month ago, so it's been a while. But anyways, yeah, I went to Boise. When I was over there with Josh, I did not film a lot because Josh and I had very specific like reasoning for me being there. This is part of the good news. He has a new job right now, just the beginning stages of it. But if this job works out, it's a government job. It's really well. I'm not going to go into detail because I don't have his permission to really talk about it. I'm sure he wouldn't care, but you know, I don't feel comfortable talking about things that aren't of mine to talk about and share. Sorry, I'm trying to. This is a wooden chair. It's not necessarily. It's comfortable, but it's like not. All right. So he's got this new job, and if this job works out, if everything works out great, if he's able to like this job, stay in this job, continue this job, life could really be looking up for the both of us. Financially, it would be amazing. Situational, it could be amazing. And opportunity-wise, it could be amazing. So, you know, really praying that this is the answer to our prayers that we've been praying for like the past 6 years that we've been in a relationship, of maybe this is what finally the break we need to be able to move forward, not as in a relationship, but like for him mainly to move forward with his life in general and just start anew and just, yeah. Again, I don't want to go into too much detail without his permission because it's not my story to tell. Maybe if I ask him about it, I might be able to, or he can always come on and talk about it, but I don't know if he will. So anyways, let's just say that his living situation is not ideal. His financial situation, you know, is okay, but it's not great. He is in the military, but he's only part-time. He works National Guard. Any of you know what that means or anything about the military, it's like 1 week in a month, 1 week a year. So like 1 week in every month and then 1 full week a year. And that's it. Does not pay the best. It's not a full-time job because he's basically only guard. He doesn't work. Anyways, it's complicated. And I know I've talked in the past about the fact that he farms. Well, right now he just doesn't have enough land to really make profit off of farming. So we're really praying that this job opportunity pans out for him. You know, he has the job, but we want to make sure that it's the right fit for him and everything works out. And if that's the case, then he'll be able to purchase, what he wants to do is purchase his mother's property, her house and her property, basically get her, because she lives on 10 acres. And he wants to be able to move her into like a retirement home that she can have. That'll be like her forever home with just a yard and easier for her to maintain and keep up, and just a really nice new home for her. While he would take over the current homestead, I guess, the farm, fix it up really nice, sell it, and then use that money to put a down payment on a bigger place, more property. Not necessarily a bigger house. Neither of us really want a big house. We just want property. That's the goal. So by me going over there was to kind of help clean him up. There is a lot of clutter and just a lot of stuff around his property that just needs to be cleaned. Again, I'm not going to go into detail without his permission, but let's just say that his garage was very full of junk. And so we needed to clean out his garage because he wants to be able to put his car in there. And then he's got a lot of, just because he's on a farm, but the farm really hasn't been worked in quite a few years. So there's just a lot of junk just everywhere, farm equipment and things, just places. So I'm going to be going like once a month and helping him clean up, prep his fields, get everything ready to basically move his mom out and him in. All right. That all said, like a really long way about going about it. So that's part of the good news, is the job and the fact that I'm hopefully we haven't confirmed this yet because of his living situation, I don't stay with him when I am there, and I wouldn't. Okay. I'm trying not to go into too much detail, like just random stuff that doesn't matter. But I'm sure if you watched my videos before, you know Josh and I are abstinent. We're not having sex until we're married. And so by that, I also will not live with him until we're married. Now, I will stay with him when I go over there, but I'm not going to like stay at his place and like live with him. And anyways, it's complicated. Doesn't matter. None of that matters. But hopefully I will have a situation worked out where I can come once a month, because the way his schedule will work, 10 days on, 4 days off. One of those 4-day weekends he has drill. The other 4-day weekend he's free. So the other 4-day weekend I want to come over and help him prepare what he needs to do to be able to move. Yeah, all that for that. So that's good, and that's happy, and we're excited. We're optimistic and hopeful. I mean, there's always a chance that like the job won't work out and things will change, but as of right now, we're keeping our fingers crossed and just praying that this pans out the way that we believe it should or would. Okay, so I was in Boise. I came back. Part of the reason why I didn't get a video up right away was while I was in Boise, I got a call that my grandma, my dad's mom, she was very, very ill. She's been very sick for the past few years. In and out of the hospital a lot with unknown heart complications, just issues that the doctors could never really figure out. They thought most likely she had cancer, but they couldn't figure out where it was coming from, what's causing her issues. She had like heart problems and things. So anyways, got a call saying, well, before I left, we knew my grandma got put on hospice. Okay. And at this point, she was still doing all right. They just put her on hospice as just to be able to help her, because she was to the point where she couldn't really get up on her own or these kind of things. So, and with her health being so poor. So I get the call when I'm in Boise saying, just so you know, they're putting grandma on, I think it was methadone. I could be wrong, but I believe it was methadone. She's allergic to morphine, so they couldn't give her that. And my dad called and said, just, you know, she's going on this medication, and because of this medication, it's basically like one of those end-of-life medications where it kind of puts them in a coma, kind of. I mean, not really, but if anyone has dealt with people who are at the end of their life, I'm sure you kind of understand it. They just sleep. It kind of just makes them sleep so they don't have pain and things. And so he said there's a very strong possibility that grandma might not know who you are. When she's on this medication, she might not wake up from it. And of course, I'm not in town, and that's really hard to hear, right? It's really hard to hear anyways, but I had like 4 more days before I was supposed to come home. And yeah, it was pretty hard to hear that. Got off the phone with my dad, and Josh immediately says, if you need to go home, I will pay for your ticket to go home right now. It would cost a lot of extra money, but you know, he's like, he never got to see his grandpa one last time before he passed away, and he really regrets that. So he was like, I don't want you to regret not seeing her. So I call my dad and I say, hey, you know, I waited, like, because it was kind of later, and I called my dad the next day and I said, do you think I need to come home? You know, because I will. And he's like, well, grandma's actually doing a lot better today. She's up and around. They took her off medication because they found out that that medication actually conflicts with one of her heart medications. It's this whole complicated thing. She was doing okay. She was up in the living room talking. So I was like, okay. My dad's like, you know, he's like, you can come home now, but he's like, there's really no way. The doctor said she could be around another 2 months, or she could go tonight. And so I said, okay. He basically told her, you know, I love her and all that from me, because he told her I was out of town and told the family and stuff. And I decided to wait it out. And, you know, I told him, if anything changes, call me instantly. And I'll call me and I'll go. Like, Josh is like, I don't care how much it's going to cost. I'll get you there. Thankfully, that didn't happen. She was doing well, or not well, but she was awake, responsive, that kind of thing. So Sunday night, I got into town. I took the flight, came home. First thing Monday morning, I got up and my dad and I went to go see her. Sunday night, they said they thought that they almost lost her a couple times, but she was still there. And so by the time I got there, I got to see her. She was responsive, but she wasn't awake. Or she was awake, but she couldn't open her eyes. So I'm trying to think of how, like, you put this. The day before, she was able to kind of, like, talk. And she was able to open her eyes and see. When I got there, she was too weak to open her eyes. She was too weak to talk. Too much pain, you know. But she was responsive. She knew we were there. My dad, you know, she didn't respond a whole lot to me personally. But I knew she still heard me, and I knew she knew I was there. When my dad came in, and he kind of rubbed her arm and said, hey, Mom, it's Dawn, you know. She turned her head towards him, and she tried to open her eyes, and she couldn't. But she was responding, like, she knew he was there. And they're like, Teresa's here, and so, you know, I got to sit with her for a few minutes, just me and her. My grandpa, so her husband is my step-grandpa. I mean, he's my grandpa because they've been married since, like, my dad was, like, a teenager, I think. And same with my step-grandma. Like, they're not my step-parents or step-grandparents. They're just my grandparents. But just so, like, you guys can kind of understand the dynamics. His sister, okay, was there. So she's not my aunt. I guess she is by marriage, but I never met her before. So my grandpa's sister was there to kind of help me with my grandpa and things. And she was just in there reading a book to my grandma, and I walked in and I was like, hi, I'm Teresa, and introduced myself and all that. And then so she's like, gave me a few minutes alone with my grandma, which was amazing to be able to just sit there and talk with her and thank her for everything that she's done for me and my family. You know, she's absolutely not, was not the closest with her. Like, I have other cousins who are a lot closer with her. But one thing I can say is my grandma never missed a birthday. Never, ever, ever did she miss a birthday. She was there for every one of them. She was babysitting us when we were younger. And I remember we were always scared of her because she was kind of like that tough disciplinarian grandma. And I remember she'd always make us clean our rooms, and we couldn't come out of our room till it was clean, and she'd sit in the living room and watch Jeopardy. And we'd always like try and sneak out and watch it. We like didn't want her to see us because she'd yell at us and we'd have to go clean our rooms. But yeah, I'll never forget that. You know, she was always there. She, like I said, came to every birthday party. Even when her and my grandpa were really, really not doing well financially, they still scraped up money to get all of the grandkids presents. And she has a lot of grandkids, okay? So, because she has 8 kids. 7 kids. 7 kids. My grandma had 7 kids. My Aunt Donna actually passed away. That was my grandma's daughter. So she has 6 living children. But anyways, so 7 kids, and out of the 7, only 2 didn't have children. So, and we all had, like, they had lots of children, the ones that did. So they're always involved. I was able to thank her for that. I said my piece. I said what I had to say. I prayed over her. I asked that God would basically usher her into his kingdom peacefully, because she was seeing a lot of things. She was seeing figures, and it was scaring her. She was hearing voices, seeing things. And so I just prayed over her, and I said, God, please said goodbye. You know, I said, thank you for everything you've done for me, and I love you. Bye. And that was it. I left. My dad said his final goodbyes. That was Monday. Wednesday morning we got the call saying she's only got hours left. And my aunt and uncle, one of my dad's siblings, moved in with my grandpa to be with him after my grandma passes away. And he called my dad and said, do you want to come up? You know, and my dad said, nope, I already said my goodbyes. She heard him, you know, she responded to me saying, I knew she heard me. She heard my dad. He's at peace with this, what he had to say to her. And the last thing that she ever told him was that she loved him. So, you know, and they said, you know, when she passes, would you like to come view the body before we take her away? My dad's like, nope. So we got the call, like that call Wednesday morning. We knew, okay, it's coming today. And this was the 17th of April. A few hours later, we got the call saying she was gone. So about 3 weeks ago, my grandma passed away. And I've been real busy. I've been doing a lot of stuff. I think I'm just, you know, it's weird. I still haven't really cried. I mean, I have a little bit, but I mean, I haven't like cried. I haven't mourned her yet. And it's, I don't know, it's kind of weird. I think I'm in that denial stage of grief where you're like, if I just don't think about it, it's not real. She's not really gone. I know it's coming though. I know the grief will catch up to me, but hasn't yet. And everyone mourns differently, obviously. I kind of come to the realization though that I don't really know how to mourn. I don't know how to handle it. I've had lots of pets die, so I obviously I'm 30. I understand death. I know what it is. But death of a loved one, especially when you're older, because I've lost a couple people when I was younger, but it's weird. I don't know, it's different. I guess, I don't know, we all grieve in our own ways, right? So I don't know.